What's up, hip cats? Saturday morning, back in the shop. I'm gonna try to finish up this hoop job for our customer. Gonna go ahead and do the programming right now for the hoops. But first, what I want to do is, what I like to do is pick up my point of reference just to double check where I'm at. And I'm just gonna take some Dykem here, and I'm gonna blue up the cylinder heads, just so I have a point of reference. And we're going to program after we get the first groove or circle programmed, and then we'll go ahead and incorporate our bore spacing to go ahead and move our cylinders over. Not move our cylinders over, have the machine move over from cylinder center line to center line, if you catch my drift. So what I like to do is just use my layout fluid, Dykem, whatever you want to call it. And I put a couple of head studs up on the head. This is the actual block we're using, the dart block. And I went ahead and I had Anthony surface it and get just a nice square surface. Make sure it was nice and straight and no warpage or anything. It didn't take much off, just a couple thou to get it dialed in. Did that over there in the Blockmaster. And I already blued this head up, and as you can see, when I look in the chamber there, or look down the cylinder from the bottom up, what I'll do is I'll take my scribe now, and I'll just take a scriber and I'll go ahead and scribe right around the outside of the cylinder just to pick up zero, and I'll do it on the front cylinder and the rear cylinder, and it's just a double check when I get it on the machine and I dial it in, because once we cut, we can't put the material back, so just want to double check everything. But yeah, it's Saturday, May 16th. Sucks. We feel like we're always in the track and we're never at the racetrack. It's been a while now since we've had a drag car together. I sold the rump shaker. Like, I don't know if you guys know. You probably scroll down some of the videos. That was the last blown alcohol funny car / alter I had. That it'll be coming up on 2 years, the end of this summer, that we got rid of it to try our funny car venture and just haven't made it yet. And just unfortunately, I get stuck in the shop. I got to get the customer stuff done because, well, for one, I got to pay the bills, and our stuff comes secondary. But I talked to my brother last night and asked him what he thought about this. Let's throw the altered body on the S&W car and let's get it together and do something. Have something to play with while we're getting the funny car together. But then I'm like kind of thinking about it last night. It kept me up in bed thinking, well, if I do that, I'm just prolonging the little bit of time, effort, and money we have to get the funny car together. So I don't know. I'm a little on the fence what I should do right now. My priorities is getting my customers taken care of. So a little down and out today. It's a beautiful Saturday, and everybody's off racing, and here we sit here in the shop. But enough on the pity trip. Let's go ahead and get this blued up and scribed out and get a program punched in and get our hoops cut so we can have this ready for Monday afternoon for our customer. All right, hold tight. We'll keep it rolling. So we got the head fixtured up. We've got a tool holder in we're going to use. It's a collet holder, ER32 Cat 40 holder. And right now I'm just going to use my indicator that I use on my Bridgeport spindle, and we'll just go back and forth, and we're going to indicate the head end. Not indicate the head end, we're going to indicate the cylinder head end. So I'll bring my indicator over here, we'll bring it down. Wrong way. And we'll just set it up here. And we'll swipe it back and forth on X. And we'll get it all trammed in, dead nuts. And then we're going to teach the machine our first cylinder. We're going to pick up 0. so we can get our coordinates for our program. That'll be our G92, which will be our absolute zero. That'll shift the machine from machine zero, where it's parked, and the G92 will shift the zero to wherever we want to put it. So let me go ahead and indicate this in and get rolling. My Saturday's passing us by. I can sit here and sulk while I sit here in the shop and work and not race. Pity me. All right, we got our indicator zeroed in, and we're just going to run it down the intake face. And I've already dialed it in. I just want to show you guys. We'll just run it on down. And I'm just using the jog buttons on the control to move it. And it's got a little deviation towards the center of the head, but when we get down to the end chamber, she's back zero. So she's zero all the way throughout, more or less. This surface has a little bit of warpage in it, about 2,000ths, not a big deal, but as long as we're zero here, zero there, and then we can pick up our zero on the chamber, and we'll be good to go. Probably wonder why I'm not using the hand wheel or the manual pulse generator, as it's called. Well, it's not working. So I think there's a short in the cable, so that'll be something I'll have to play with when I get some time. But again, can't complain so far. $1,200 for a CNC milling machine. Not too shabby. So we're all dialed in there. I'm going to snug up the fixture again and just double check it one more time, and we can finish writing the program, and we'll dry run it and see what we got. Okay, so we're all programmed up, and I actually already made just a skim pass. And what I'm trying to do is, it's a little tricky on this Yates head. Because of the bore spacing is so close, I got to figure out, I don't want the fire ring or the hoop super close to the chamber, but I'm trying to get it enough where they're not going to intersect when we put the two on there. So we won't have to do anything funky as far as, if we figure eight them, then we got to cut the hoop, we got to put a flat on there. So I'm trying to figure out the bore spacing. You got to take into account what your hole, the gasket hole, the cylinder hole is in the gasket. Again, this block is 4-inch 155, and I believe the customer ordered some Hussey copper gaskets in the 4-inch 175 bore. So we try to keep the gasket bore close as we can to the cylinder bore. And like I said, this is a small block Ford block, stock bore space, so there's not a ton of room between the cylinders. So what I'm doing, I'm just making a skim pass of a couple thou and measuring so I could jockey it around. I mean, worst case, I could always resurface the head, but I shouldn't have to. I'm just barely taking off the layout fluid. And we'll go ahead and run the program through. I can show you what we're doing here. We're already in auto. Right now it's feeding down very slowly, and I'll change my Z dimension once we get ready to cut the groove. Basically, we're just circle interpolating the O-ring diameter. Like I said, this is just a skim cut. Then I'll go back in the program and I'll put our depth that we want for our hoop. I said our hoop's 40 thousandths, so we'll probably go down, close to 30 thousandths, 28 thousandths deep in the head. But just critical that I get these lined up correctly. Like I said, we got, it's a water head, so we're dealing with holes in the head. We don't want the hoop to interfere with, so it's just a little critical. I've never top fuel hoop the symmetrical port C3 Yates head, so first for everything. First on our $1,200 Vectrax. Head's a little noisy upstairs, but that's all right. You know, it's a belt drive head. And we're running at 5,200 RPMs. We got a solid carbide 062 Ford flute end mill. Got it in the ER collet holder. And we'll just shoot a little WD on it for coolant. We won't get crazy and turn the coolant on and make a mess. And look at the program. There's a basic program, G03, circular interpolation, G42, turn our cutter comp on to the right, pick up our diameter, pick up our offset, number 11 offset, S for our feed rate, our I and the J is where we're pivoting, our radius, which is what half our circle is, with our I is, and J, 0, 0 on center, and then the G01, just pull up out of the way. So when I do a circle interpolation, I like to program one cut to the depth, and then I go over it with a spring cut, just a cleanup cut. And you'll notice every time it reads, the cursor will go down. Read the next line of information. If I hold it close, it won't blink. So that's what she's doing. Let it finish up and I'll measure it one more time. Then we'll go to our final depth and then we'll put our bore spacing in and we'll move over chamber to chamber. We'll have this head knocked out in about, I don't know, about the next hour. Right, finished up there, and we'll just check that, and we'll put our Z depth in. We're good to go. It has a spindle brake. It's disconnected. I got to fix that. So what that does, it'll stop the spindle instantly instead of rolling down like that. What's all the smoke coming from out here? The wife's out there. She's burning all the cardboard boxes that we end up with from parts and crap. Somebody's got to do it. Anthony's working on his boat. Weather's nice. I got to do something with this. This is the power boat I bought. It was a stolen recovery. I did a segment on this a little bit a while back. This is when I lost my mind last summer when I got pissed off and sold the funny car. And like an asshole, I had a little bit of money in my pocket, and I came across this 32-foot Fever. It was a stolen recovery. Somebody stole the motors out of it and the drives, left it for dead. And the problem with projects like this with me is, you know, I'm just smart enough to look at something and say, damn, I could get that at a deal, and I could put it together and have me a badass boat again. But I'm just stupid enough to actually pull the trigger and piss the money away and drag it home and add another project. And weather's getting nice now, and the wife's like, when are you gonna put the boat together? I said, well, I'm trying to get these funny cars together, and I need to get on the other Prince Brothers ass because he's been falling off a little on me, and this is the problem I have. When weather gets nice, him and my son, they want to go on their boats and play on their motorcycles, and I'm stuck here working in the shop, and you know, to go alcohol funny car racing on a janitor's budget, it takes a lot of effort. So, but yeah, so I'm gonna get stuck. I need to put this boat together because even if I want to turn around and flip it and sell it, it'd be worth a hell of a lot more running than not running. And if you follow our history, we've messed with boats our whole life. I grew up on the Long Island Sound, and I had my first boat, believe it or not, when I was 11 years old. And it was cool because, you know, something I could drive in the summertime without a license. The A wagon's still sitting there. We ain't gonna get into that, but it's here, it's there. It was only a $120 investment, so. But yesterday, while I was messing around on this, I did get a chance to come back here, and I pounded one of the short blocks together for the boat. You probably noticed that orange motor that's been sitting on the stand. I drug 2 motors out in the winter, some cores I had, and machined them up, and so I went ahead yesterday and just took some time and put this together. I'm just putting 2 basic 468s together for the boat. Just put a little cheap set of aftermarket rods, just some flat top pistons, low compression, pump gas, run on 87 because at $4 a gallon plus, I don't know how much boating we're going to be doing in between going racing, but it would be cool to have the boat together to break up the monotony when we're not racing, not working, because we're down here, you know, since I moved down here to the Carolinas, we're down here on the Intercoastal, and it is pretty beautiful on the Intercoastal, and it's cool to just go out there and knock around on a boat. And I'm just the type of guy, I can't just go out on any boat if I'm not making noise and bothering people and breaking parts. I'm usually not happy, but just like the funny car, any of my subscribers, you know, I hope to see you in the pits. Come out and hang out with us. You get down here in the Carolinas, look me up, and I get this running, I'll take you for a ride out there on the fountain and show you the Intercoastal of Wilmington, Southport, North Carolina. If you're a subscriber, you're a friend, you come on down and we'll party at the racetrack, or we'll party out there on the water. Land, speed, just don't do air. No airplanes. All right, let me get back on here. Enough of that bullshit. I don't feel like being stuck in here all day. Let's go ahead and double check our groove width. We'll put our depth in, finish this sucker up, and we'll be that much ahead of the game come Monday morning to help our customer out. Because I got to set the block up, and we're going to cut the receiver grooves on that. So that'll probably be part 3 segment for that. Again, I can only do about 30-minute segments, so I apologize to do segments on the same thing, you know, 2 and 3 sequels. So anyway, get back to work. I think I did a little segment before on the boat Anthony, my son, threw together. He found this little Donzi, 18 foot, and he got the disease like me. We piss away every dollar we have chasing the need for speed. But he found this with a blown up motor down in Georgia. It was all fucked up. Eddie next door painted it for him, and I built him a little hot 350 we put in there. Nothing too crazy. I don't want to see the kid get hurt. Just a little 355 with some Vortec heads and some good exhaust. But it'll run it on at 75 mile an hour and 18 foot and a 3 foot chop. You get a hell of a ride. So again, anybody comes down this way, take you out there for a little death ride. Hopefully I'll have this one together. I'd like to say by Memorial Day, if I get enough time to throw them other short blocks together, and go see if I can scab some drives somewhere. Like I said, that was a stolen recovery. It was left on the side of the road outside of Baltimore, off of I-95. And the guy that towed it in called me because he knew I was into that kind of shit years ago. Actually, the scoop that's on Anthony's Donzi's off one of my old race boats when I went through my I want to go boat racing phase. That's a story for another time. Broke the boat in half. But anyway, blown altered sitting in there. I just called my brother. I said, finish up what you got to do on the other car, and let me get it back here so I can once I get the Hemi together, so I can mount the Hemi in it and get that going. So still on the fence what I want to do with this as far as combination wise. Big block. We're talking blown gas because we have some gas fuel systems that my brother had spuds do for his boat, and I said, well, let's throw them on here. That's actually the blowers for my brother's boat. But we'll see. I may just, we started on that 502, 509 that I got in there. That was going to be the blown alcohol motor for that car when we put the vet body on it. So it looks so badass with the T-body on it. I may just finish up the big block, cheap as we can, maybe just stick a power glide in it, blown alcohol big block, and whatever one at this point, I got to do some math, figure out what's the quickest one to get running. But you know, my main focus is the funny car. But like anything, it all revolves around money we don't have, and got to keep kicking out the product so we can buy parts. I can only make but so much. There's certain things I have to end up buying that I just can't make. I feel like I can make just about anything but money. But again, I'm not going to sit here and cry about that. It is what it is. And that just finished another pass there. So let's check that back out, and we're going to move it to the next chamber. Well, she finished the first groove. My total depth, 45 thousandths. She's on to the second cylinder. Again, this Ford motor, it's a little tricky because the bore spacing is pretty close. It's 351 Windsor 4-inch 380 is the bore spacing. Bore spacing meaning the dimension from the center line of the bore to the next center line of each bore, 4-inch 380. That's even shorter than a small block Chevy. Small block Chevy's 4-inch 400. Your Hemi, stock Hemi, or your Brad Anderson or Noonan, your regular, what they call a 4.8 Hemi, that's what they're talking about, the bore space, 4-inch 800. Noonan 4.9, stretched out Hemi, another 100 thousandths between bores. But anyway, I'm not going to bore you with the details. I'm just going to let the machine cut, finish this up, and then I'll top the other head on there today, and at least we'll have the heads done. So then Monday morning when I come in, I could go ahead and fixture the block up. And I think I devised a way to do the block without, remember I was talking about making a riser block for the head? I think I got, actually my old man came up with an idea on some tooling we started making last week to get the block bolted really close to the table. So I'll go over that maybe in a segment, but no sense boring you on that. But just top fuel hoops, way better than O-ringing. Again, pretty easy to do. If you got any questions, you want to do it yourself, what I like to do is, again, if I'm going to make the hoop 60 thousandths wide, I'll make the groove 46 thousandths deep, and then in the block I'll cut it 15 thousandths. 15 plus 45 gives us our 60 thousandths. So basically the crush of the gasket will encapsulate our groove between the head and the block, and we'll have superior sealing. I'm going to try to hold 40, 50, 60 pounds of boost. It's the only way to do it. Well, I'm going to sign off, guys. Hope you guys have a good rest of your weekend. I didn't realize Memorial Day weekend's next weekend. All the IHRA boys are going to be at Maple Grove, and I'll still be in here on a pity trip in the shop working until we can get there at some point in time. All right, fellas, have a good rest of your weekend.